wasn't crazy time wise. It's just kids half day,
Yeah,
random schedule, late nights,
yeah.
not really knowing what to expect because it was the first time I'd done it there,
Yeah.
you know, so
God, it's recording everything you say,
thank you. Oh,
literally.
I don't have to look at it. We don't have to look at it. Should we start the meeting at 6:03?
Yes, we shall. I motion to start the meeting at 6:03.
All right, October minutes. Did everybody get them?
Yes.
That's what reminded me the meeting was today.
I motion to accept the October minutes as is.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Friends update, since I know you have an activity tonight.
Dairy Queen fundraiser was Monday night. I'm not really sure what the numbers were like but I'm sure some people did. So that
We
was
had it
nice.
work, I was so mad.
Yeah, we have our activity this evening that's already been discussed. The verbs make sense. There's a wreath class coming up, a watercolor class, raffle still ongoing until the end of the month. And there will be the kids' holiday craft, dropping craft day in December, I think the 16th is the week. So rocking and rolling as we do.
Nice.
And the yard cleanup is Thanksgiving, the weekend after Thanksgiving?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the 25th, that's gonna be rough for me. I was hoping to be able to attend, but I don't know.
I have a family in town. So I
Yeah,
can't.
we're having the, Thanksgiving with my dad the following day, so I'm kind of like cooking all over again for a second time. Fun.
Looking for some Leos.
But
some
yeah,
Lions Club.
yeah, but maybe I can still squeeze in a little bit of time. Let me just figure out what's going on.
All right, should we dive into the director's report and the budget?
Okay, once again, I'll just sort of give you the short one of the report. So staff, Autumn Maurice is coming in on Wednesday nights. It's really nice. She's volunteering a couple hours. Wednesdays, just to help with the shift that we're doing downstairs here, but then at some point we might have to do some processing cataloging because we need to catch up. And I have some ideas about how we could catch up on that too, using available staff hours. Taft, sorry.
Nope, I'll come back to you.
Okay. Taft staff is meeting on Tuesday, November 21st. Hoping to go over some of the strategic plan goals with them, as well as projects. Talk about Jean getting some additional shadowing and training as well. Let's see, Veterans Day holiday, just so everyone knows, Saturday, this week we are closed. Tara was quote unquote off today, and I'll be off tomorrow to recognize the holiday. Facilities, I have purchased a mailbox. I have purchased a post.
Nice.
I have purchased the mounting plate. And I reached out to John Dudley at the highway department and have heard nothing. So I will reach back out to them again just to see if that's something that they do. I emailed him and I just follow up, and I've got his number to text, so I just do that. The gem billing situation is worked out. As it turned out, back in April, I had there was an agreement between ourselves and Victory, and Gem dropped the ball on that agreement. Once they saw the agreement, they realized they needed to honor what the agreement is, which is $1,500 for 2 visits during the year.
Nice.
The $1,500 per visit, but it's still less than the one bill was going to be, which was I think 3,500, 3,600 something. We just talked a little about the fall cleanup. See, word's been sent out to Nipmuc, for those who are looking for honor society hours, and to the Leos at DVT, their advisor. Had some people call, and I had a couple people mention that they would be there, so we're starting to get a decent number of people, which is good. We have a one light fixture that's up in Children's. It's just more of a pain in the butt than anything. It's a small fixture that's armed or whatever, and it's not like it has creates tons of illumination. It's just that it's out and the rest of them are on. So Craig Cassivan, who we went through previously, I think he's over in Blackstone. He's got 3 big jobs going right now. So he gave me the numbers of some individuals to contact, including the family member who I did contact, and then he didn't contact me back, so I contacted him again. We were texting a little bit, and now he's dropped off the face of the earth. So I may just go ahead and look at the other contractors. Budget. So 25,000.
So is it just a matter of changing a light bulb, or is it a matter of electrical work?
I think it's.
Because it's a
I
big
think
difference
it's
if
the
we have
fixture.
to.
The only problem is it's up so darn high and we don't have the equipment.
Yeah, no, so I understand that you need somebody that can
I
get
don't
up there.
think
but-
it's the actual fixture. I
So it
think
doesn't
it's just-
necessarily need an electrician, but you need somebody that can go
Somebody.
up, that's licensed and insured, that can go up.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody knows of anyone? You know, it's really not a big job. I did ask some questions, or wanted to ask some questions about some of these other fixtures here, which we haven't had any issues with recently, which is good. But if anybody does know, let me know. Budget, 25,080 from the budget in October. So that puts us at 30.9% of the budget spent, and obviously at this point we should be around 33%. So we're just running a little bit behind on that. That is due more so to the salaries than it is the operations, because we're pretty close to that. Let's see. Under expenses, so we actually spent almost 10,000 in books for the month, which is great, because last month we were only at 13.6% spent in books. Now we're up to 28.2. Got a couple larger invoices this month coming up as well, so I think it'll put us in good shape with that. Programming I'm keeping an eye on, because we have about 40% of that budget. Let's see, programs. First grade visits are completed. Three Thursdays in a row, and Tara and I, it went very well, and I think it was good. We had kids tour the children's section. They got a chance to take a look for books. A lot of them got their cards, probably somewhere, I think I said around 50, but between 50 and 60. Kids who got their cards, some had already had their cards, so they brought them along. I think it went really well. Story times continue and are very well attended. Itty Bitty Story Time continues to be probably the most popular of the story times. Lots of participants. Let's see, the puppet story time, again, that continues to get lots of people. And then the Halloween party had 109 in attendance this past month. Good numbers there. I won't go through the upcoming November events. Read those at your leisure. Whichever, if you're British or American. Projects. So I did reach out to Mary Ann Moran over at the high school. She then sent word to Tara Bennett, who reached out to the teachers, or some of the teachers. Then I contacted her again, like, I don't know, maybe about a week later. She said, I'll reach out again, because she hadn't heard a lot. And then I mentioned Colleen Terrell to her as well. I just need to get confirmation that she's been contacted also. Make sure that, that she's kind of in the loop on this also. So we'll see where it goes. let's see, shifting the collection downstairs here because we need to make more space for fiction, which is not unusual. Also doing a shift upstairs to make more room for fiction, surprise. Let's see. Town news. We did have a department head meeting at the end of October. They are looking at a capital and asset management plan and having us fill out I believe it's gonna be a Google Doc that we're supposed to fill out with an inventory of assets, so things like the building, whatever vehicles we have none, like it's those sorts of things. They mentioned that we should mention the septic issue, mention other buildings that we've discussed. And let me think, what else were we talking about?
Just
Repaving, like a paving of the parking lot because it's never been done. You know, where you actually pull through. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, do you have a question? All right, let's see, Rectory Working Group met, let's see, 23rd. Good meeting, and I did hear back from John Erickson. He's stopping over Wednesday or Thursday next week. When I know what time that is, I will send a message out to all of those in the working group, and I don't think he's gonna have a big issue. I did ask him in the email, is it all right if others happen to be there? He never responded to that portion of the message, but there are a couple people there along with myself. I can't imagine that that's a big deal. Walkthrough of the rectory by the working group next Tuesday to a meeting immediately after.
Getting roles that she would speak to Ann Mazar, but I was speaking to Ann Mazar.
Oh.
Ann Mazar.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, because I know we were talking preservation, and I think maybe.
So,
Yeah.
about CPA,
My
yeah,
apologies.
yeah, that's okay.
Okay. I know Jay mentioned something to me the other day, and maybe that's why I gotta get those about CPA. And I think, isn't there like there's a time frame, correct? It has to be a certain number of years. I think
So
we're
we
not-
actually, we need to talk with the Historic Commission,
Okay,
so that's sort of the next step.
okay. Well, let's see, so, and then James, you were gonna talk, look into federal and.
Yep, I've already got a short list.
Okay.
And we did also verify that the fire code question was based on space. So as you increase that space, that's what's going to dictate the requirement for the sprinklers. We've got all that code printed out, or at least saved, so that we can reference that.
Ann Mazar raised concerns about the public water source also, which also I think is tied to the size of the building.
Mhm.
That might be
Which would
something
make
to put on
sense.
that spreadsheet too, since that is a cost, an issue if it didn't pass for the town.
Yeah,
If something ever happened to that well,
really,
that's a big cost too. It could be potentially to get a new one or, because it
so we
will
should
essentially shut down this building without water.
include the well as part of the.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
I don't see why not.
I mean, they can always tell you to take it off, the worst case scenario.
Yep.
But it is,
for
you know,
future, yeah, considering that we're thinking about it for future,
Right.
potential future use, then yes, it's worth putting on there.
And Elaine, you said we need to reach out to the historic commission, do we know?
Yeah, so if the, I guess if a building is going to be considered historic, it would be them deciding that it's historic.
Okay.
So, and then like PPA funds are,
In play.
yeah, in play. And then, I mean, there are other possibilities of playground, I think we talked about. We're looking at the website that like about CPA money uses and
Right.
so, yeah, Anne said it needs to be, it's like an active recreation area as opposed to passive recreation. So like
Okay,
a patio would not work, but a playground would.
Okay.
So anyhow, something to consider.
active recreation.
But we can get more details, also as we move along.
And let's see, Obviously, we'll talk about the neighbor to the south. So like that, and then the next week, there's users council meeting. I'll be attending the big one of the year because that's when the budget will be determined as well as individual assessments, not for FY 24, obviously, but so that is that. Anybody have any questions about the report? Yes.
I know we're waiting the high school folks when it comes to the website stuff.
Yes.
Something else to take into consideration is sometimes for senior level projects for either Girl Scouts or Eagle Scouts. They can take on different things that are like this because it's something that's both for the community and something that will have
Right,
furtherance that moves past their little time.
right.
So we have another avenue. If we don't get traction with some of the high school folks, we have some very active Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts, and Girl Scouts in the region
Is it for the website?
for the website. Yes, so web developing.
All right.
And that's,
And I see Tara every now and then,
Okay.
so I can just mention it to her and see.
Oh,
Just, "Oh, it's over there." Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as a, "Hey."
All right. Yeah, we had, I didn't know that that would be a part of qualifying. I mean, I know when we had, what was his name? Who did the last one? I just looked at it today.
Ben,
Ben Tremblay, yeah.
Trembling,
That was his Eagle Scout.
the walkway up here,
And,
and
yeah,
the patio up back there.
But, that's very good. to know. Thank you.
Yeah, in the past, when and that, I think it's a fabulous idea if someone wants to take it on, but in the past, when we've reached out to Boy Scouts looking for, we've had specific Eagle Scout ideas, they kind of passed us over. Nobody's really been interested.
and my only concern would be just making sure that there's long-term maintenance. Sometimes,
Yeah,
what happens when they move on,
yep.
just making sure that there's
Plan.
something in place for it to
A
be.
succession plan.
Yes, exactly. Or at least if we do something with the high school, a lot of times there's somebody there that
Mhm.
supports that going forward.
Unless I just say, hey, you put the site together, I'm gonna be texting you whenever there's an issue. Even 5 years from now. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, that's a plan.
Yeah.
That's a plan.
So, one other thing that, Ann Mazar mentioned, I was at home, but, she mentioned the communities. I know that there
Oh,
are
yeah.
grants for the HVAC here, and she said that it might be another avenue to explore, for like clean energy options.
So as far as the budget report goes, as I mentioned, operations is at about 32.7%, so that's pretty close to where we need to be. It's in the salaries, we're running a little behind, 29.1%. So we were talking the other day, and what I think we have hours to give, and so I think it's possible that on Mondays, maybe Thursday before open, we'd have some hours to give to staff to do some processing and cataloging, just to catch up some. It's hard because we have to spend a certain amount of money every year, state mandated. But then that means that there's a lot of product that comes in, and because we were without people for a little bit, there were vacations in there, and stuff you hire. The idea would be maybe to have some dedicated time when there's not any distractions to just do some processing and cataloging.
Would you ever consider an intern from the high school?
Yes, yeah.
Is that
absolutely.
like, I know they're looking for opportunities for kids to be in the community,
Yeah.
doing real life things.
Yeah.
And that might be,
And that
Another
would be fine,
opportunity.
because really, in terms of cataloging and processing, that you don't have to look at patron records, the whole confidentiality thing, that's not entwined with that. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. We could look at something.
so I think Tara's the same contact for that.
Okay,
So she might be one to reach out for that, or I can mention it to her as well,
oh,
and see if there's anybody at the school interested. that might be interested in doing that.
I was gonna, if I, this next week, if I didn't hear back, I was gonna just kind of reach out again and, I could always put that, forward and ask her if, there's anybody who might go. Just putting it down as I go here. Let's see. Nothing else really in the budget report. Like I said, we're at 28.2% spent in books, so we have to. I think we'll eventually catch up with that. And as I said, I'm also keeping an eye on programming. Because we have about 40% left to work with, which is not unusual. It's pretty typical for where we are. So, anybody have any questions on the budget?
All right, library policies, move on.
So, yes, I sent the policy to everyone. It's one page, relatively brief. Yeah, so I guess the question would be, there's a paragraph in there about the US Patriot Act. Patriot Act, I think, went defunct in 2020, something like that. The question would be whether to just eliminate that last paragraph or, like you said, reverse, sort of do reverse engineer the last paragraph.
Sure, so the idea comes so that, the principle behind it is if you have a federal agent or a federal officer come to you and say, hey, I'm requesting this, here's a subpoena for it or whatever it is. You then can pull out your own policy and be like, actually, no, you can't. And unless you go to X and Y, but because this is defunct and no more.
Right.
Now, technically by deleting it, you're still doing the same thing. You don't have to have it in there. Having worked with a lot of federal officers, I know sometimes keeping things plain in front of their face is important so that they know they're not being dumb. But on this one, it's minor. It's minor. So just an idea, not requirement.
I think it's up to how you want to do that.
Doesn't matter. to me.
It doesn't matter to me.
Do you think it would be better if we tried to put something there? Or
It's just,
okay. All right.
why overcomplicate?
I like less complicated.
Yeah.
All right, so. Is that the only, do we want to, is that the, do we want to
So
talk?
there was a job description. I don't know if you want to go through that at
Yeah,
all.
it's not on here, but this is where that would land.
Right. So I thought we'd start with probably the easiest of the bunch. And the reason I say that is that there's not a lot, having looked through it, that I would say that you would need to do with this. The only thing that's not necessarily in here is something about staff taking part in or organizing or arranging adult programs, because we have that's become some of what the job is entailed in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So we could put that in.
I
I
mean,
don't know if,
that could just fall under performs other duties as required.
right,
As well, and that's why that statement is always in
yeah,
there.
it's a catch-all. So I mean, it doesn't have to be spelled out necessarily.
Because not all staff will necessarily participate in that.
No, I mean, there was a time when we had our staff meeting, and it was like, we were talking about like everybody maybe potentially looking to bring something in for adult program, because we don't have an adult services librarian who would typically be, responsible for programs outside of Monica. No, but yeah, so I mean, I think if it's fine that we just go with performs other duties.
I think that's fine, because it, like I said, it won't be necessarily everyone that will want to participate,
Right.
so you don't want to like force someone into having to do that.
Right, yeah. I mean,
It's
I
always
think,
good when they're willing and bring great ideas to the table, like Monica and Chris runs the book club and things like that, so I think that's great, but I don't think it should be a requirement.
yeah, fine. But there's, nowhere else on here that anything that gave me pause and said, we need to change this or whatnot. I mean, it's pretty spot on. What, library technician, or if you want to call them library assistant, does.
So do we need to vote on?
I think you probably need to vote on both.
But do we have to wait till next meeting?
We wait until next, week,
Yes,
based on our other
gosh,
conversations.
yes,
Please and thank you.
yes, no problem.
All right, so I will, but we can, I mean, we're pretty much there. We'll just do the official vote
Absolutely.
next
And
week.
make it easy. I put a motion forward to defer both votes until next meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, so that brings us to the garage issue. Which I think we're at this point, we're waiting.
Yeah.
Kind of right for the building
Inspector.
inspector.
Yeah.
To send the letter. And I think we're, at least they see it, the seriousness of it.
Yes.
We're having action. Hopefully he'll come out this week, early next
I mean,
week.
I sent it yesterday. I was very happy to see that this morning. They had already sent an email to the town council.
Yeah, I was shocked with that turnaround, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're just kind of in a waiting pattern for him. Hopefully he has time in the next day or so to move forward with it and.
I don't know, how that'll all fall out and how that will be taken.
It would be great.
Yeah,
You can probably kiss the Friends donation that he gives us every year goodbye, but that's okay. Or he lost.
yeah, I mean, I would hope that it would be civil, and I would hope that there wouldn't be some sort of, him stopping by. I have no clue. We'll see how that goes.
It's not gonna come from you.
No,
It's not coming from the library itself. It's coming from the town. because It's really town property. It's the town's issue, not necessarily.
the only thing that's
library.
been done is it's been brought to the town's attention because it's a town, like I said, it's a town issue. It needs to be addressed. by the
Yeah.
town.
Town property. It wouldn't matter who it was who did something
No.
like that. It would,
No,
Right,
right.
I mean, my understanding, there are other departments that have had infringements like this. Ellen mentioned an example to me, and so it was the same sort of situation where the town had to, it wasn't council, I think it was probably the building inspector again, send a letter and so on. So this isn't unusual.
right.
If they do get to the point where they're asking you to deliver something, don't feel like you have to.
Okay.
And this
Yes,
is important,
great,
when we
yes.
have representatives, I'm happy to do it. And because it allows you to be neutral, it
Right.
allows you to step away from the circumstance and just be the director here. And you don't have to be in the middle of something that could be hostile.
Right.
And on an open forum, remember, use your resources too. If all of a sudden he's coming over and you don't feel comfortable,
Right.
call the police.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
That's why they're there.
I would hope that there would be civility. The talks that I've ever had with him have always been decent, so I'm not trying to buy trouble. I'm just saying that I assume that it will not be well received.
Right. But like James said, it's not really your issue,
No,
it's the town's issue,
no,
so
it's-
if he comes over to start trouble
Right,
with you as an individual,
yeah,
it's,
You direct them right back to the town.
yeah.
You need to go to town hall and let them
yeah,
deal
absolutely.
with it.
Yeah.
Not that.
Or just call me. Oh,
Right.
I'm here to help.
So I appreciate that very much. And yeah, I will definitely use my available resources.
All right, strategic plan goals.
So I'll be going over some things with the staff in a couple of weeks. Did you
No,
have?
you're good, keep going.
Sound
Brain was going.
We went over a number of things this last time, so I don't know if there's really, if it's worth rehashing at all. But if anybody had some thoughts on goals, as I mentioned, some of these things were a little bit more difficult to accomplish, some of them were kind of straightforward. I did have a window washer, I thought that was one of our goals, and they were supposed to send me a quote, and they haven't done it, they just called out of the blue one day. It was a cleaning company. And I said, well, I'm not in the market for a cleaning company. We already have janitorial service. But windows, and he said he had taken a look. I talked to him on the phone and he said he was gonna send me a quote. I haven't heard back. So I don't know, at this point, I'm probably just gonna have to look elsewhere. I don't know, what else are we talking about in terms of the strategic goals?
Well, you've been
We
doing
talked about
the
website.
policies and.
Policies and the job descriptions.
Job descriptions, those, we've been working on those right along.
Go over the, what do they call that? The map or whatever for
Org chart.
staff org chart.
Yes.
I have a draft for you.
Oh. All right, excellent.
And starting the working group on the rectory, that's
Right.
on there, that's a
It is
big
on.
one,
It is,
so.
so.
Yeah.
You
There
know,
are things that are happening.
you are definitely moving through them.
You know, like, I don't know, every other meeting, I'll double check, see where we're at with things and I'll let you know what's going on. As I said, I'm gonna review it before the staff meeting, so I make sure that all of us are on the same page with the things that have to happen in the next year or year or two. Yeah. That's that.
Anybody have anything else? Okay. Any other topics that we're not anticipating? Because we're at the end of this, what I've got on the agenda. So,
I do.
You said you had
Okay.
something.
So this actually, so I went to the special town meeting.
Oh, good.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
Monday, thank you.
Yeah,
It's fun. That was a good one. But the one thing I wanted to bring up was the exceptional use of space and time that senior center did to make sure their message is getting out there. So they were standing out in front and they had their flyers and everything else to make sure folks understood that this is what's coming down the road. Some of the things we talked about during the working group one is how do we stay ahead of that curve? Do we get a question on the ballot? Do we start asking these questions? Well, senior center set a nice little precedent or way to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the.
they
first-
have been marketing this for years.
Okay.
They've been going.
But
for
also,
a
I mean,
few
other groups have done this as well. So you, like, if you're interested in a future meeting, you know, you just talk to the town clerk and yeah, I mean, that's, the main source. But I mean, I would say, yes, I agree, although probably being cautious not to step on the toes of the senior center expansion project. So like, I think maybe once that's, you know, I think it's perceived as like trying to sort of compete or
Yeah.
like get ahead, you know,
Yeah.
kind of in line. I don't know, but I agree. I think it's an opportunity for community outreach, and I think, I mean, I think it would be great.
Yeah.
So
No, that
hopefully,
is a good idea.
hopefully this, the senior center will get going and we'll deal with that, and then actually hopefully the capital planning will also get going, and so, this will, get a place in line for the. sort of like- I'm like envisioning, like maybe there will be a line, but like there's progress. I mean, there's definitely, there are people working at looking at the big picture of the town. It's so great to hear
Right.
the meetings you've had with other department heads were
Yeah.
actually in it.
And I want to follow up this week just to make sure that I didn't miss something. I assumed in a form. They did give us a form,
Yeah.
but I thought it was something that would be online.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what I've heard, it's probably gonna be, so not Google Docs, but the Microsoft, because we paid for the licensing for the Microsoft products.
Right.
So, I think that like Jody and David were talking about that, so
Yeah,
I think. I mean, last I heard, it's still in the works.
It's in the
I think.
works.
Like, I don't know,
I'll go.
it might be just something.
Yeah, right.
Building the forms.
Yes.
So that was it. I think
Yeah.
it's a smart avenue to at least get the message out there when it's time.
And I would say the seniors have been marketing this for a while,
Mhm.
and every time I've gone to a meeting,
Right.
they've been front and center, and it's been
Yeah.
very obvious to me at least what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's It's not a bad plan. I mean,
No.
you can't miss it
Right.
when you're there.
That's
You can't miss it.
And I would also say that it would be, if anybody is interested in getting involved with that project, I mean, like, I know they're also looking for people, like, and I do in terms of just like community engagement and synchronicity, it might be, like if anyone is, from this group or other people, like, wants to get on board, I think, I think it'll be actually good for the whole town, and I think that, that space might actually benefit the library as well, especially if they can end up going on one of the North Avenue properties, like.
They're looking at four different properties, I can't remember.
Yes, but really, not like the Morrison Drive one is, I think it's not officially been ruled out, but basically,
It's on the
yeah,
very low one.
and so it may stay on, the Providence Street
Okay.
property, but there's the town-owned property on the corner of Route 16 and North Avenue that is, I believe was originally sort of intended for municipal use. And then there's this possibility of the other, the property on Hopedale Street and North Avenue,
Oh, yeah.
which is currently owned by a private trust, to be an agricultural center, but the trust holder is open to having it be senior center location and would be willing to donate. So anyhow, but it would be, North Avenue, I think would be, I don't know, there's room for shared resources, I think. I think what's tricky about the senior center and that they are hoping to have a large community room, which I know the library also would like more
Oh, right.
community room space, but I think the issue is the timing, like the library tends to do daytime programming and they also tend to do daytime
Right.
programming. So I don't know that like having that space would like definitely help the library.
Right.
So like anyhow, but it's something they, I don't know. Yeah, I'm involved with that project as well, and I think it needs to happen. It's been, it's been many years in the works, and that building is 30 years old and can only, fit like 50 people. So they've got a real space issue. But
Well, I think in terms of the meeting we were talking about, I think the idea would be, this is obviously on the road, would be that programming which typically happens in this building could actually happen there, and there wouldn't be any noise issue that we typically sustain during the first couple hours of the day, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Well, no, excuse me, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the 2 days that.
yeah.
So, there's definitely use out of it, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it would be interesting to sort of, find out how open the senior center, because there's, if part of the argument is that, the community can use the space for other purposes,
Right.
for other meeting
Sure.
spaces and other events. So,
I think worth it too. I should at
They
some
were
point
like-
talk to Amy just to
Yeah.
see where they're at. with
Yeah, I
it.
know. And then, there's the possibility that it's gonna stay on Providence Street. Amy would like it to stay on Providence Street. and
Oh,
they-
okay, yeah.
Many of the seniors who actively use the center currently like,
Would prefer.
they like that
Would
space, but. Yeah. I don't know, hopefully Mendon will be able to, get these projects going, but there are so many projects, but
Right.
yeah, Sean's mentioned that freight train coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
The freight train is coming.
All right, anything else? When should we have our next meeting? I wasn't gonna forget. I know we normally do not meet in December, so I don't know if we want to continue that tradition or we want to meet in December and then decide what we want to do. So we talking early December at this point, like the.
I am actually away the 5th through the 11th, just so everyone knows. I'll be around strangely enough during the Christmas holiday, but my wife and I, we usually travel at Christmas, are tired of traveling right around Christmas because it's crazy in airports and elsewhere. So we decided to do a pre-Christmas Christmas with family.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So I know the second Thursday is the 14th.
14th, do that day if that works for everybody. Or again, we could postpone until January. I can go either way.
Or could it be, I don't know, I was just thinking based on the month coming back. Could it be moved to the 21st is so close to.
I would say that's too close. That one would be
Yeah.
probably too close. The 14th would be, I think would be fine.
And likely we could probably just keep it short because we kind
Yeah.
of be voting on the policy,
Right.
the job description, and then anything else that would be new.
And probably if there's any
Update on that.
movement, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly,
right, yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. So we want to go for the 14th?
Plan for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Right, quick.
See.
I'm putting on my calendar this time.
Six, right.
Yes. Yeah, motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Kind of second.
Great. We're gonna go, Tara, unless you needed something. Sorry, we didn't really say hi to you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm waving even though I don't think I have my camera on because I'm driving. So it's probably not a good idea, but I am waving. So happy,
Stay safe.